cold.
I know. That weather's serious.
He's young. Shit. If I was out like that, the ambulance would be here right now. Shit. Cause it's supposed to only be 22 today.
Yeah, and what, zeros next week or something?
Yeah.
Worse tomorrow.
You ain't gotta worry about me. I'm gonna turn every fireplace off in the house. And turn the heat.
I don't think it's gonna snow.
No, it ain't gonna snow until next week. Go on, girl. Show off. I'll be knocked out. Yeah, do that, because my brother thinks he can cook. And that shit that he cooks ain't right. But I should be glad anything with my own dust. I gave away another 10 suits last week. Is the coffee ready?
It's brewing.
Come on with it.
I smell it.
Cream and sugar. You wanna hug me now, hug me later.
Hey. Hi, I'm Kate.
I'm Harris.
Good to meet you. How are you?
Doing pretty
Would you
good.
like something to drink? Coffee?
I'll do that.
Sprite? Water? Gotcha. You know any federal employees?
As a matter of fact, I got a friend who's at the EPA.
Well, they must be happy with this news.
Yeah. She was definitely struggling for a minute.
I'm waiting for Andre to call now. He called last night about that Trump crap. I don't care. Leave Trump alone. He's the best thing the Democrats don't do. He's just a Republican. Take the feelings out of it and try to win. That's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah. You definitely talk yourself into a calamity.
He's already done that. We got Republicans switching on him. You see, he had to break it down. The Republicans told him that, hey. Where's your daughter at?
Asleep? What's right?
That's my buddy
No.
right there.
Coffee is cold.
Huh?
I don't think coffee is. I'm freezing and my hands are cold.
Yes, sure are. They're colder than mine. See, you a young girl. You ain't supposed to have no cold hands. I'm old. Yeah, don't let me get hot.
I'll pull up the right.
Getting old, but eat the sissies. Really ain't. I make anybody mad last week.
You want to make me mad?
I used to make people mad just by getting up in the
Used to.
Here she goes.
Have you met Lynn?
Oh, yeah.
Been on the elevator. Okay.
Trying to warm up.
You know, I like cold weather, but I don't. Oh. Here's somebody. Best time to come.
I left 2 fireplaces on last night, and still the house was hot.
We have my fireplace, and I have one, and I love it.
Yeah.
And I got a gas fireplace, which I miss the wood, but we don't have that thing. I think it's called a flue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have this big piece of plexiglass in front of our fireplace.
No, you can get a cover for that, and it'll force the air from the heat. Have you got a fan on it?
No, I mean, I went cheap.
I can see you doing it. I can't see your husband. Pretty
Yeah, well,
smart
I'm
guy.
the one who ordered it, so.
Yeah.
You need to put a fan on your fireplace. Do that. I better cut your heat bill down 50%.
No, we're on the, what do you call it? The budget plan. Because you gotta pay so much every month, even when you don't use your,
I see that coffee strong, girl.
I must have thought this was cognac.
beggars, choosers.
Cognac.
That cup is for your garbage.
Okay.
This is a whole process. I can't imagine being in a country where they drink tea all the time.
Where you what?
Tea,
Oh.
I hadn't drunk coffee in
Ireland.
probably 15 years. Be bouncing off the walls. I drunk some coffee.
I have not. I did not used to until the last couple of years.
Bounce off the
Every
walls.
once in a while. But
Yeah. Yeah. I can't do it.
how's Nat doing?
Good. Good. I mean, the transition was a little-
Finally done.
Yeah. So we're getting our feet up under us and learning about what things that were done that we didn't know about and we're finding out. But
All the ins and outs.
You never know
Ooh,
all
I'm
the
sorry,
ins and
I
outs
think
of
I
township
maybe-
government. You never know all the ins and outs. Too, you like to go me nuts.
yeah.
Sorry. They're people coming in today. Okay. Well, good luck with that. I mean, it takes. When I came into the recorder's office again, it was a Democrat transition,
Yeah.
but it was and it was a friendly transition, unlike yours, and good 6 months.
Till you could get everything. Yeah.
You got it down in 6 months?
No, to start to truly understand.
Shoot.
Well, that's why I don't know what chances it has, but Cherish's bill passed out of committee. That transition bill, she
To do what?
just, I don't know all the specifics of it, but it requires local government, if there's a change in administration, to work with the incoming administration.
It's sort of like the sort of loser law. If somebody loses a primary, they can't go and sign up with the other side.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that, only for when you win and what should happen anyway is
Without a law, yeah.
that for continuity of government, that you don't destroy records and
Destroy records.
yeah. I don't know that happened. I don't think Lula did that, but
No,
for example, here this wouldn't apply, but there were records that were gone here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You never told me.
Well, what good is it gonna do?
Hey, believe me.
All right, you want to know something funny? This is a lot of inside baseball, but so, and I realize you're a man of God, right? I have a foul mouth, and I will try and not.
You're a minister?
No.
Oh.
Okay, well, that makes it easier. So, a few months ago, I get this bill from a collection agency. I look at it. I'm like, what the fuck is this? So I take it to the finance guy who, he's a real super smart guy. I said, do I seriously have to pay this bill? And he looks at it, and he goes through it, and he maybe makes some calls to the people. He's like, Kate, you have to pay it. And I'm like,
I haven't signed a check for a past due bill, that's for sure.
It was for shredding services that took place the month before I took over.
Huh. Wow.
And I thought,
Yeah.
touche, but you know what? You do what you have to do to get the job done.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Well, that's.
I think the word you may be looking for is bullshit, but
Yeah. Yeah.
you know what? That's just how it went, and move on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bless you. Let me get you.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Shredding bill.
You look very
No,
young.
from a collection agency.
Are you? I'm not.
A shredding bill from a collection agency.
Oh my God.
A shredding bill for a collection agency.
You look younger than that.
Thank you.
Well, welcome. Welcome. Now that our coffee preparation is.
Now you talk
Complete.
about shredding bills and stuff, let's get to
To the meat.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, we are, he's running over in District 14. And from what I understand, there's been some question about whether or not he's a Democrat and how we're going to proceed if there's a challenge to whether he's a Democrat. And I just want you to know, first of all, I want you to know him. I want you to get to know him. And he has, as far as I know, and as far as we've known each other now for probably about 6 years, everything that I've done when I was working on the Far East Side at Cafe and all of the partnerships that I've had with people in the party trying to do stuff out there prior to this little fracture with the current council member out there, we were all working together. So it's no question to me. Now, I understand there's some specifics around whether or not he actually voted in a primary, and I can let him answer that, but I want you to know, first of all, he's not gonna drop out. That's just not gonna happen. So, and just to be frank about it, he's gonna beat her. He's going to beat her.
Tony, this District
Yeah.
14, the current counselor is Lakeisha Jackson.
Yeah.
So far, 2 people have filed to run for that spot. Lakeisha for re-election and Mr. Ross to challenge her on the Democrat side. I don't know what the Republicans have done because
Lakeisha's an incumbent, right?
She is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
Well-
easy to answer this.
yes, people have a right to challenge.
Okay, I don't have a problem with that, but as far as this central committee is concerned, we have no option but to go with Lakeisha Jackson.
Yeah, that's not really the
Crux.
just the why I asked to talk to you. I understand that that's your choice. That's fine. She's gonna lose, but I understand why you have to do that. Now, my concern is us not tearing the party or fracturing the party again as it relates to whether or not he is a Democrat. I just don't want to. We just did this.
Whether or not who's a Democrat.
Darius.
Him. Okay.
Yeah. Because obviously, as I understand it, one of the bylaws or rules is that you would need to have voted in a primary as a Democrat. But I also know that at the end of the day, it's your decision to certify him or not. And
That is partially correct. That's partially.
well, tell me if I'm wrong, because explain it to me. I as I understand it, at the end of the day, it's your decision.
Well, again, it's partially correct, and I will explain it. Let's see. I'm just writing these down so I get everything. So, have you voted in a Democrat primary? There's a form called the CAN 42. When you go to fill out your paperwork at the clerk's office. Are you familiar with it? what it says, one of the boxes, you give some, personal detail or your name and what office you're running for, and that you're allowed to vote or to run for that office. There are certain things that have to be thresholds met. For any office that is not a federal office, there's a felony provision, a felony that has not been expunged provision. There's the other is there are 2 boxes that you can check. One says, I certify I'm a member of this party, and I'm paraphrasing, please forgive me, because I voted in a primary, or I have not voted in a primary, but I have written permission from the county chair. Once you file that, it becomes a matter of public record. There are people who, I haven't done it for a couple days, which just because I've been underwater, but people go and they pull those records daily. Mm-hmm. I'm sure if they could, they'd do it more frequently. Just as you're entitled to it, anyone in this room is. Every public record is a public record. So one of the things that the party does is they go through and they look at who's running and what, just like when people become precinct committee people, it's generally there have been mistakes made, but we go through and we check someone's record. For example, last year, have you heard of a man by the name of Brad Kloffenstein? Do you know him?
When he tried to run for precinct committee person, he's a Republican.
He's a libertarian.
Or libertarian, and had never voted
in a Democrat primary.
Yeah.
And I challenged him. There were other people who did not have a Democrat voting record who I challenged. Last year, it was during the precinct committee people race. And I had encouraged as many people as would listen to me run for this, because I'm trying to strengthen the foundation of the party by having neighborhood advocates for us. So so yes, I can issue a challenge. However, so can anyone who lives in that district.
Mm-hmm.
In the Can 42, you checked one of those boxes. I think the box you checked said that you had voted in a Democrat primary. That in and of itself is challengeable. And how it works, if a challenge is filed, is the election board has a meeting and they look at the facts and they make their determination.
Right. I get that. I understand that. But ultimately, doesn't the buck stop with you?
It could. I could.
Right.
But if I did not issue a challenge, anyone in that district could issue a challenge. The election board will not. They'll let me know.
What part does the Central Committee play in this?
Well, the Central Committee, what we have done is we had a meeting recently about the processes and the procedures on what to do if we encounter this. And what we all voted on, instead of me making the decision on my own, I wanted input of our committee. What do you think about this when we encounter this? And we decided that as voting in a primary, if you've never done it, you've voted before.
Yeah, generally.
It is the most fundamental and easiest and, quite frankly, most important thing a Democrat can do is vote. I don't know how, I think you are a regular primary voter. I know that we are constant and consistent primary voters. That is, people can knock on doors, write checks, make telephone calls, but without the votes, it doesn't, the work that the precinct committee people of the party do is, if you don't have the vote. So that is our position on that. And somebody who doesn't vote in a primary will be challenged, if not by someone in the district, by the party.
So then that brings us to.
Excuse
Yeah.
me just a minute. Keep your train of thought. I want you to know that this is in no way singling you out. This is a process that we have. And to be consistent across the board is very important to me because I have tried very hard to make my time here as transparent and as fair as possible. So this is not the anti Mr. Ross. That's not what this is. This is, you are not a ship alone with this process. Okay, sorry. I just wanted to be clear about that.
Yeah, and I know that, but the flip side of the coin is the long-term ramifications to the party. Because when we initially had this conversation, the first thing that came up was, once again, we have certain groups of people in areas who have never had any outreach to them, who have never been taught this process. And obviously, you can make the argument that ignorance is no excuse, but there are certain groups of people out on the far east side of town where he lives that's never had anybody come out there and educate them on this process. Never had anybody come tell them, hey, brother, if you want to run, or if you're interested in throwing your hat in the ring, you need to do A, B, and C first before you even try to get in.
That makes
Right.
a lot of sense.
And
which I that's another reason why, Kate, I can't support this 100 at all.
But and see and that's what, and then so then if we have to pull his declaration of candidacy and run as an independent and create this, listen, he's got, when he announced the video that he made,
I saw it. It was good.
it's been viewed like 40,000 times. It's been shared like 1,600 times. Even if a percentage of that group is in his district, he's going to win. It's not a question of whether or not he's going to win. We've got a path to victory. We've got the data of all the voters in that district. We've got a plan for phone banking, and his launch party is on the 6th. So we're not dropping out. That's not going to happen. I just don't want us to create another narrative where it's another instance of the party suppressing or disenfranchising certain groups of people, especially young people, especially energized people who are starting to vote, because that's going to be the narrative if we have to go independent. And Kate, let's just be real about it. She got 700 votes in the last primary. 700.
Did she have opposition?
Yeah. Well, she got 700 in the primary, and she got 2,300 in the general, 2,400.
Different districts, are
But
bigger
that makes
turnout.
sense in the primary. She was running unopposed.
Okay, but there were a few others that in 2015 that ran unopposed that got a little more than that. But my point is, he can, as far as increasing the party's numbers in that district, we're not looking at just 800 or 900 to beat. We're trying to increase the base over there in the primary to at least to 2,000. And I don't want 2,000 independent voters. I don't want that, because at the end of the day, I'm a Democrat. I've been one. I'm not gonna. And if he has to go independent, I mean, you know, you can speak for yourself. I would hope he would still caucus with the Democrats, but that's 2,000 voters.
Can I, before you,
Yeah, go ahead.
you know, when you went to go fill out your form, did you know you never voted in the primary?
No,
You did not?
no.
Okay. Because one thing was, maybe if you had brought him, I'm just saying early to talk to the chair, talk to Kate. Because when you submitted that form, if we didn't have all this other stuff going on, you would have had to submit the letter from the chair with when you fill out that form. You know,
I had
and
no
so
clue.
she can't even submit a letter now. You know that, right?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's already filed, and
Okay.
he checked off that he had voted in the primary, in a Democrat in the primary. The other part says that the letter is attached.
Well, and at the end of the day,
So-
we've got until the 11th to withdraw it, to amend it, to have to, if there's a need where we have to go in front of the board because of a misstatement on it, we're prepared to do that. The end of the day, I don't want him to have to withdraw it totally and run as an
Let
independent.
me
That's
ask
what I
this.
don't want.
Why didn't you come talk to me?
I had no clue as far as voter education over there is low. So understanding the process of who to talk to and how to go about the process, I had no clue at all that I had to come to you. I thought I was.
Oh, no. You didn't have to. But if you're going to run as a Democrat,
yeah,
it makes sense to talk to
yeah,
the person who leads a party. To me.
Definitely. So we didn't figure that it would come to. Eventually, we was gonna get around to it and speak to you, but we didn't know that this would be a situation where, if I didn't vote in the primary, that I couldn't run as a Democrat.
Well, there are. I mean,
Who is
with
running your campaign?
I am.
And you didn't tell him that?
To come talk to Kate?
No, to vote in the primary.
Our initial conversations were, have you voted? Yeah. Have you participated in the democratic process? Yeah. Did I ask him specifically about voting in the primary? I don't think I did. And yeah, I mean, I'll own that, but
That
We're-
automatically kills him right then and there.
well, we're not killed. I refuse, with all due respect, Mr. Duncan. We're not killed, but you're right. We put ourselves in a situation, but we're here now, and I'm trying to figure it out the best way I can without having to go that way. And like I said, if we can withdraw it and you two can have a powwow and let him convince you that he's a Democrat or whatever, I know that there is a way that we can do this where he can still run as a Democrat. I just don't want to do that.
But you know, we have to be consistent with everybody. He's not the only one.
I
You know that.
I know that.
And
But what I'm saying is, he's the only one that can win as an independent. Well, I don't know what their campaigns are. I don't know what they're doing. What I do know is the support and momentum that he has in District 14 and the path that we have if we have to do voter education on independent ballots and all that. It's not going to stop him from still getting well more than she gets. And if we have to do that, we don't have to waste resources in the primary, and we can just focus on the general. So I'm not worried about the path to victory. I'm worried about what happens as far as, once again, we're arguing with folks in the primary or in the party. And I mean,
Well, I don't want that, and it was avoidable. I mean, if we'd had a conversation, it would have. I mean, you would have been educated, and maybe you would have made a different decision. I would like to welcome you into the party, and I mean, your video is very impressive. I know not very much, but some of the things that your foundation has done, the good work that you're doing, I think that's admirable. But I am not. I am not the. That is separate from the raw political part of it, and this is a rule, and this is a statute. So this is not you being singled out. As you've heard, there are others in the same situation, and maybe one that you know about, but
yeah.
not just the two of you.
But you know the talk, right? I mean, you know the talk is, okay, well, we've got 2 or 3 young people. They're all of color. They're all being told by the party that they can't run. So let's just form this
What's the
independent.
2 or 3 young people you talking
Well,
about?
I'm not finna do that, you know.
But I
But
gotta-
No, I
what
wouldn't
I'm
ask you if I
okay.
did.
But what I'm saying is, if the narrative becomes, we'll just form this independent ticket and this independent movement, and we will just scream from the rooftops, the party is once again disenfranchising young people of color. And
Once
we will,
again,
No,
what's the accusation that it has been done before?
Okay, you know I've been beating that drum for years now, that there are people in the party who continue to ignore the voices of black people. This isn't the first time me and you have had that conversation. So what I'm saying is, if we go that route, that drum gets revved up again, and there's no, but why do we have to do that? These young folks.
Well, I'd rather you not drum that up because it's patently untrue.
It is untrue.
Having, I know she asked you how old you are. I don't know how old you are.
28.
We
The
can I remember that?
that's actually, I'm going back. I had met my husband, the man who became my husband a couple years before. I really do want you to become involved in the party, and I want you to vote in the primary. And I suspect it was probably, I mean, if you thought you had voted before, that's one thing, but I suspect you would have voted in the primary this year, or will vote in the primary this year. And I welcome that. I want more young people, and you're a man, you are not a child, but to those of us with a little seasoning on us, I mean, it's exciting to have somebody who wants to be involved. But this, as I said, this is not directed toward you. And you said all people of color, that's an inaccurate statement. But you don't know that because you are not, you don't call me on the regular, and you don't, I mean, we see each other, and sometimes we fight, and sometimes we, give each other a cordial greeting and say what's going on. But I do not, this is the party of inclusion, not exclusion.
Well, we have to be consistent with that.
And so do we.
Right.
So do we.
We all have to be consistent with that. And when you have a area outside of the 465 Beltway, particularly the Far East Side, where you have mainly black and brown folks who will tell you their precinct committee people don't engage them. The party doesn't come out there and hold voter education and voter. I was just talking to someone who is part of the Young Dems, and that voter and political education stuff that they hold. They're intentional. They're intentional about going out to certain communities and educating them on the process. So you know what my question was to her? Very simple. Have you ever done any of that on the Far East Side? Her first response was, "What's the Far East Side? Where is that?"
Who is her?
I forget her name, but she's part of the Young Dems. My first question was, have you ever been to the Far East Side? Her response was, what is the Far East Side? Where is that? Then when I explained where it was, her answer was, no, we've never been out there. So I'm not saying that
I'm sorry to interrupt you. The party has, but the party has gone door to door. We have gone door to door as even some young Democrats have gone door to door on the Far East Side. I will say, not so much down in the southern tier. Some of that, but more concentrating on the northern 2/3 of the county to talk to people, to get them engaged and involved. We have tried, but
yeah, you may have. I'm not saying you didn't come out there when there was time to get votes and talk to people to register them to vote. But that's not what I'm talking about. Being intentional about education to groom the next incoming bench of young folks to run, teaching them about the process, getting them engaged outside of just registering to vote and then voting. I'm talking about being intentional about teaching them the process. Now
What
we
you're
all know
saying is good,
that
right.
that hasn't
But
been
for him
happening.
to come here and try to take something, he ain't gonna get nothing out there.
What do you mean take?
Out of nowhere, he can't even prove he voted Democrat.
Well, we can prove that he voted Democrat. We can't.
How you gonna prove it?
Well, I mean, how you gonna prove he didn't?
Because there's
Because
no primary
you can't
record.
prove he did.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean, number one, that doesn't mean he's not a Democrat. And I mean,
I didn't
brother,
say he wasn't a Democrat. I said you can't prove he voted Democrat.
what I can prove, number one, I can prove that he's gonna win. Number two, I can prove
We
that
through
his.
talking now. Let's just get it on.
Okay, well then that's fine. I mean,
I gotta say this though, you have a foundation, correct?
The Rouse Foundation.
Right. Are you thinking about where your money comes from when you run? Because if you go out here and run as an independent, you know, don't you get Democrat money? People don't want to see you out there as an independent. They want to see you as a Democrat.
I know a lot of people want to see me as a Democrat.
Yeah, and you know, I've seen your flyers and stuff, and you don't say what party at all. You know,
Yeah.
it just says that you're running. So I'm just saying that should be something that you take into consideration. This might not be your time right now because you don't have that primary vote. And then to switch over for as an independent, we don't want that. You know,
That's the
and
story.
then by you
That's what we
starting
gotta
something with being
protect
an
our youth.
independent and a
Here's
whole
a young
new
man with
group,
some brains.
you know,
Shit.
you might be ready in the next 4 years or something else might
2
come along.
years.
Yeah, just
Well,
you seem very nice and intelligent.
man, well, the thing is, I've been a long-time resident of District 14. Grew up over there off of 42nd and Post Road. You know, so what I've witnessed as far as the public safety, the public health over there, we can't wait 4 more years. Far as it's a lot of people suffering and not being heard, and I feel like, you know, my focus would be on public safety, inclusion, education, uplifting those voices that's not heard, bridging the gap between the black and brown communities. I do a lot of work over there on boots on the ground every single day. It's a lot of issues.
Have you talked to location? Have y'all ever talked?
Yeah.
You try to
So
work together?
how we come about this is the homicide. You know, the 5 homicides that's happened on 42nd and Post last year at the beginning of the year. So I used to, you know, I wasn't always squeaky clean, you know, at one point in my life, but I made a transition, made a 180, and became that role model I always wanted to have. And, you know, with the 5 homicides happening last year, it was a breakout. Chief Roach called me, Commander Spurgeon called me in, and I said, hey, I could probably get some of these groups together and get them to resolve their conflicts, but I'm gonna need wraparound services to support them. So I called a meeting with Lakeisha, Pastor Jackson, all the stakeholders on the Far East Side, Michael Howell with the cafe, Hannah Harper, a few others, you know, who I felt like could help assist me. And when I did that meeting, it became more of a debate with Lakeisha. She came in 15 minutes late and said, I know you think you called this meeting, but I called this meeting. Had her own agenda, passed out agendas all around the table. But I was talking the majority of the time because I called the meeting. And Pastor Jackson and her was going back and forth, trying to become more territorial.
Pastor Jackson, who's that?
Fervent Prayer,
Who?
over Fervent Prayer Church. Fervent Prayer.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
our church, right?
I know they real close, like, but it became more territorial, and I'm a young person coming in and saying, hey, I'm more connected to the young people who's tied to the violence in the streets, and I got these groups, and I don't want to lose them. I want to save lives ultimately, and I need you guys' support. And it became more debate and territorial. We've been out here 10, 15, 20 years, been doing this. How you gonna come in and try to tell us what we need to try to do or whatever? And and I just got pushback from that. And there's been times other than that when I apartment complex on 30th and Post, Arborstone Apartments, ran out of water. I don't know you guys remember me going raising 500 cases of water and taking it over there within 4 to 8 hours because they don't know who to call. they don't know who their city councilor is, and so it only made sense. And when I reached out about that incident to them, Lakeisha and her assistant, Michelangelo, and them, they didn't get back with me till 3 or 4 months later.
Who's there?
And so it was just a thing that I had resolved the conflict. I got the water cut back on, held the property managers accountable to to make sure the tenants get treated right, make sure their water got cut back on, and then I challenged the owners of the property to renovate these areas of 30th and Post because it's all molded, ceilings caved in, or sell the properties to somebody who will.
You did that?
Yes, and within 3 weeks.
I know it was done.
I know,
Yeah. Within 3 weeks,
My parents about that.
he sold it, and I was on the cover of Indianapolis Recorder with the whole story, and I was a part of organizing all those tenants to call in, give bad reviews to the owners, the property management, hold them accountable, and now all of them are registered voters as well. So I just feel like it's a lot of things that could be more done out there, and I'm energized to get it done.
Have you talked to Lakeisha at all? Or are you getting kickback from Lakeisha?
Got kickback from, and and so that kind of was like, hey, I'm trying to get things done out here, and the people are calling me for every single issue. And I said, I'm doing the same thing as a regular city councilor I feel should be a part of doing, so why not me?
I can
That's
see him
impressive.
climbing until he got to
I know,
that
and I would hate that he would have to.
But he's stepping
Going
out of
for
it
that.
now. See, he was doing the right thing going up, and then that last 2 or 3 sentences that just shut it down. Here's the problem I got with it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I can't connect you with the Marion County Democratic Party any kind of way. You're not an elected official. You're not a precinct committeeman. All you want to do is run for office on the Democratic ticket, okay? I got a problem with that.
Well, that's not necessarily true.
But that is true. You
Well,
just told me it was true.
As far as me just wanting to run on a Democratic ticket, I feel like I'm a full-blown Democrat. My
You're
whole
what?
family, I feel like I'm a Democrat. I always voted in the general elections as a Democrat. My family tree is a Democrat. I have liberal views. I believe in healthcare. I was a person who once didn't have healthcare, fighting a chronic lung disease in the hospital.
Why didn't you vote register in the primary?
Well, I never was educated on that process, so I never knew. I told you, growing up on 42nd and Post, we never had those type of services.
I gotta tell you, with all due respect, Mr. Duncan, I have a great deal of respect for you, but this is what's going on right now is exemplary of the divide nationwide in the party between the old lions of the party and the new energy. And the way you're dismissing them now is just further energizing young folks to feel like they've got to do it on their own.
Well, see,
because
first of all, you're wrong.
Well,
I'm not dismissing him.
Okay.
Matter of fact, I'm applauding him. I mean, you have built a good platform, but you have not built a political platform. You have built a great community platform, which is where I started from. You have not built your political platform. If you had registered or filed as a Democrat in the primary, we wouldn't be talking right now. It wouldn't be nothing to talk about. You got some bad advisors that don't know what the heck they're talking about. And if there's anything I can do to assist you, I will personally do it. But as I see it right now, you're a nomad. You came into the general election and says, I'm gonna run on the Democratic ticket. While your community has done well because of you, the party has not done well because you're not going to be able to do well with the party. I'm ready to take a vote on this right now.
Well, this is something that we addressed already without. We didn't use any names. It was just, what is our procedure? What is our procedure on what we are going to do? This is, hearing you is inspiring.
It really is. Finally, we got some young people that got some sense out here.
And I would like for you to become active and engaged within the party. Who open arms. I know it
Who's your
doesn't seem
ward
like that
chair?
right now.
Have no clue.
Let's look and see what ward he's in and
Yeah.
pop him in the ward chair real quick.
There you go. He
that-
might not be doing that.
Huh?
He might not be doing that.
Well,
They gotta go back and talk and think about it.
well,
He gonna go.
if he
Because
decides
if he-
to be a ward chair, I'm supporting him 100%. He's proven himself on the street.
Yeah, I mean,
That's where I came
I
from. The
just would
street.
hate to see him
But
file as an independent. I would,
If he
But
would.
if y'all feel like that's the only way y'all can do it, but you just have to think about your future.
I
there's
do not
other-
want this young man wasted. If we had about another.
With regard to
50
the
of these-
party. With regard to the party is what it's.
With regard to the party.
Have you
This is
got
the
any
reason why
questions?
we're catching hell in Marion County right now. We're not bringing his commitment into the party.
And he didn't know that. He didn't know to
then
come
why
to the
not
party.
do that? Why not do that right
He
now
ain't paid
then?
his dues on the street.
Are you really saying that, Mr. Duncan, that there are dues to pay to be included in the party? If he is bringing,
I paid it.
Okay.
Why shouldn't he pay it?
Okay, let me just
You're paying it.
Let me just make this one statement. If he has ideals and a belief system and a way of doing things that perfectly line up with our liberal views, how can you not say he's not a Democrat because he hasn't done something technical?
He's not identified himself as a Democrat.
His actions have. His
But wait a minute,
belief,
I don't
his
hear
heart.
about your actions. I want to see what you got down here on paper.
So you mean that there's like a...
You did.
I was a Democrat before I even knew I was a Democrat. Just because of what I believed
But
in
you,
my heart and
you
head.
documented it.
But that's not what made me a Democrat. Not what
Whatever you are, it's documented that you are a Democrat. There is no document that says he's a Democrat.
But his head and his heart is. And at the end of the day, isn't that what we want?
No,
Well,
no,
I don't
we-
want somebody who
if-
just
if
checks
you
a
don't
box.
know-
We
if you
do,
don't go to
but
war,
without
come
without
with it.
voting, which, as I said, is the most fundamental thing a person can do as a Democrat, without voting in the primary. If I could have, I would have said to you, you have to vote in a primary.
I wish you'd have
in
done
order
this
to.
6 months
I would have,
ago.
because I don't look. You see this map right here. These 25 districts. There is conflict fraught in all of them at some point. And politics, this is politics at its most raw level, right? This is politics. And to say that I'm gonna give you a pass when I'm not going to do it to someone else is, to my mind's eye, unfair. And I will not do it. It shouldn't.
But we got
I
to do
don't know
something
if I
to
can
keep.
we
We got to do something to
convince
keep
you.
Kate.
But this is not an indictment of you. As I said, I saw your video and what you want to do. It is commendable. But my obligation is to the party. And that is that like your obligation is not to Wayne Township. I don't know if your foundation is countywide. Or if it's concentrated on the far east side.
East side.
Okay, well,
mainly
so-
far east
Far
side.
south.
So you may want to help people who want to mirror your organization on another side of town, but your focus is there. That is, my focus is with Democrats.
I just because the thing is, I don't want to run independent and then it could put a fracture into, if I win, because I feel like I'm fully capable of winning. I don't want it to affect the Democratic Party, and that's why we kind of caught this meeting, because I don't want to run independent if I don't have to.
Well, you don't have
And,
to.
and
I don't want you to do that
And I don't
either.
want it to affect the party, because I feel like I'm a full-blown Democrat, even though I haven't paid my dues, but my beliefs and everything is with Democrats. It's
You can tell that
truly
by your
believe.
actions.
And I just don't want it to come to that. you know. And
Neither do I.
And I don't think the independent has ever won the general elections. I don't know, to my knowledge, and that could look bad toward the Democratic Party. To
It would. I would like for you not to embarrass us, or to even attempt to not embarrass the party. But I hear your passion.
Yeah, I don't.
And I know you don't want to wait, and I'm not asking you to wait, but I'm telling you what our procedures are.
Right.
And I mean, I am earnest in my request that you become more active within the party. I think it's commendable and something to emulate the work that you're doing, and to put community activism and care and concern and tie it with the party. I mean, those are our what we strive for, because we are the party of inclusion and everyone. But again, the basic, most fundamental thing a Democrat can do is to vote. And I'm sorry, you said you come from a Democrat family. I'm sorry that I did not knock on your door, or that your family did not tell you that there are 2 elections every year. And if you're a Democrat, you vote in both of them.
Yeah, and to my knowledge, growing up, we always thought the primary was like an early voting. We was never told that the difference between a primary and general election. So growing up in a poverty neighborhood, we always was told. My parents always told me general elections is where it matters.
Who funds the organizations that you belong to?
Huh?
Who funds the organizations that you belong to? The community organizations.
Well, I got my own organization, the Ross Foundation.
All right.
And Joe Hoxett funded us with $60,000.
The city is one of the, I don't know who else.
Yeah.
For how long?
For a year. Back in August.
What are they gonna do with 60,000?
Yeah. So I mean, I know, right? But I'm good friends with Mayor Joe, Andre Carson, Joe Donnelly. They all just sat with me and talk about how we could bridge the gap between underserved communities and the party.
What would be hypothetically, what would be the blowback if you decided to certify him and didn't certify the others?
That I am playing favorites, and that I am
And you're gonna lose.
that I am doing it because of
The fact that he
Joe
can-
Hoxett supports you, or I am doing it because you intimidated me, or I am doing it because come up with the craziest shit you can think of,
And you gonna
that
Keisha
is
voted for Play. I mean,
Yeah.
you're right. It is.
It's all screwed up. Have you got a business card?
But what would be the flip side if you win as an independent, though? What
We
would
all
be-
become one big happy family.
well.
But I don't think, me personally, I don't think you should go to independent. I think y'all should go back, talk about it, see where else it can be used, and make sure you go to the primary this year and move forward.
You ain't got nothing
There's
in
a
it.
there's a
That's a
post-it
lot to think
there's a
about.
post-it note right for that. We are, Rashawn and I have gone back and forth. He supported somebody who didn't participate in our process, and he won, and she won. And
But she voted
Annette,
Democrat.
she voted
And
Democrat.
then like Tony said, had he had a Democrat vote, ain't nothing we could do. Nothing we could have done to get him off. Nothing.
See, that's the problem when I go
But
to
we
the
don't
other
change.
Democrat
Change
also, but
is
you ain't got nothing
it
for
agitates and it creates chaos, and that it's uncomfortable for people. But it's not the worst thing. It is not the worst. And I don't. It makes things harder for me. But look,
I don't want to.
I don't. We shouldn't stagnate. And I can imagine how it seems, but this is, and with 100% sincerity, not specific to him. This is being consistent with our party rules. That's what it is. So, and I don't want that to seem arbitrary and like I said, I'm sorry that there wasn't somebody who came out and said to you, Hey man,
Nobody trained him.
you vote in primaries.
Should have came to the party.
You know,
Or
and I
the
don't
party
know how
shoulda
long
went
you've
to
been.
him.
Well, and
Or
that's
the party
what I
shoulda went to
said.
him. Why should the party
Yeah,
went
why
to him?
should the party go to him?
Well, because if the party wants to grow its base and
Look,
increase,
he wants something from the party. The party, only thing they want from him is a vote, and he's already a committed voter.
okay, so what I'm saying is the party should want to grow its base of people of color, particularly young people of color. To do that,
Oh.
you've got to go to
Oh.
neighbor. Not saying that you don't. I'm not saying you
No,
don't.
but
I'm
I-
just
I-
making his.
But I want to do it across the board.
Yeah.
Not specific.
Yeah. But I'm just saying. If we're going to be serious about growing the party up there where you don't traditionally go, out in 14, 13.
So you waiting for somebody to give you something.
I'm not waiting for.
Shit.
I already told you what we're gonna do, so we're not. You don't have to give us anything. I didn't come here asking permission or genuflecting asking permission. I'm coming here telling you what it is, what we're going to do if we can't meet in the middle somewhere. But to your point, all I'm saying is, if the party is serious about inclusion, which I believe we are, but we got to be more intentional about that. And what that means is going out there to neighborhoods and folks we haven't traditionally engaged in a real way, except when we got a voter registration form or a Souls to the Polls bus. But I'm talking about this shouldn't have happened. As his campaign manager, is partly on me, but it shouldn't have happened from jump because the party should have been more inclusive about that side of
If
town.
you're his campaign manager, you should have went to the party yourself for him.
Why would I do that? For what?
Well,
For what, Tony?
To get information about how this works this year. Now, I understand you may have some distrust with your, with your experience with us with Annette, but after Annette won, after she won, I welcomed you in. I mean, we had a couple words, but she won, and we want her to come back into being part
And
because
she has.
And she has.
Yes.
And
I gotta hand it to her.
and as her deputy and as a long Democrat, we can argue. I don't consider you an enemy or a bad person or the evil. None of that. But
You don't?
no, not at all.
I do.
Not at all. We may see things differently, but that's what makes a party stronger if you got healthy, constructive differences of opinion.
right. And
But-
if we had
but-
talked before you had decided to run, that
If
could have
he'd have
been
just
because I
ran in
didn't
the
know.
primary, it wouldn't be an argument today. It wouldn't
I
be
didn't
nothing.
know.
No conflict today.
So, well, I can imagine anyone who is going to run from here out will certainly make more of an effort to do some research. But this is again our party being consistent. This is, and I know everything is personal when it happens to
You.
to you because I have been on a list in this party in the past, and I vowed not to do that to anyone. I want after I ran for something and in the convention, I was told, I asked some specific questions and was given some specific answers and decided to run in the primary. And this is more than 10 years ago. So I am shocked to be in this seat for multiple reasons, that among them. But I did not leave. I stayed and I kept giving my money for this breakfast club that the party has and helping organize things and being a precinct person and not going away, even though, I was beat down and I missed out on jobs and I got from people in the party, and my husband's like, why are we still giving money? Well, because I'm a Democrat and I believe in what this party does and that we care about people. And I think you care about people, what your actions show that you do. But your...
What happened when you came back, though? Those same people who were beating you up,
We'll be done in a few minutes. You feel free to wait.
That same person that beat you up opened his arms to you, didn't he?
Yeah, because I didn't go away. I implore you not to. And I ask that you not run as an independent, but it is your right. And I will fight for your right to do that and for your right to, I mean, say what you will about us. This is our process. This is our procedure. This is what is going to happen. So with that information, I mean, I'm very happy to have met you. I wish it had been sooner because I would have asked you to vote. And if I would have tried to explain the difference between a primary and a general, and you know, you were going to go into this and ask people to do something for you that you yourself didn't know about. I mean, that's a little bit strange. But that is, you know, this we can't go back and change the past. We can only move forward. So, again,
and to say that, I feel like I can bridge that gap of educating and advocating for why it's important to vote in the primaries and general election. You know, because I'm directly impacted myself, and you know, and that's a gap that needs to be filled in poverty neighborhoods, and so. Thank you for having us.
yeah, I wish the conversation were not necessary.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to give you my card, so you've got my number. If I'm not, I'm accessible, and you'll see my cell phone number is on my card. You can call me, you can text me, you can. If I will not lie to you, I may not answer a question that you want, but that is because I either don't want to or feel that I cannot. Not because I'm trying to be sneaky, because I really don't like when people do that to me. It's, but in the future, we have programs that are starting this year to address exactly what you talked about. And this is our vice chair, Stuart Mora. I don't know if you've met him. He is the president of Unite Here Local 23, and they represent the poorest of the poor in our workforce. They represent janitors and food service workers and people who work at the airport, and he fights for them all the time. And one of the things when I came in that Congressman Carson asked is to bring more young people in.
I got to meet with him today.
And we have tried, but we're trying some other things now. And one of those is something we're going to do it in Hawville, which is, you know, on the other side of town. But it's a concert with this, you know, according to Stuart, there's a burgeoning hip hop movement in Indianapolis.
Oh yeah.
That does not. Well, I don't know about.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
A burgeoning, but Stuart does. So there's going to be a concert, and we're going to do these things 4 times a year in different parts of the community.
Get together. Him and Stewart.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So the
This is my private number there.
so it's going to be sponsored by the Democrats. It's going to be, you know, come and pay what you can, and not, hey, Democrat. But there'll be a little bit of that. The congressman is interested in going, and it may seem too little, too late. But I think when you can try to make something better, and from a party perspective, finally being able to answer the congressman's request in a tangible way is.
And I was just saying, it's good you guys are putting together those type of programs now. I wish you guys would have had that years ago, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And then, you know, because for me, I feel like it would be more fair to make sense to make this, you know, how this plays out now, because we had those programs in those neighborhoods already in place that advocates, and there's no excuse then. So that's all I got to say.
All right. Well, hey.
You're going to
I
have
really,
a whole lot.
really appreciate you coming in. And like I said, and you too.
Yep.
You're going to have
Let me get you mine.
This makes me feel young again. Talking to you.
Yeah.
We'll be on
You've
there.
got it, but I don't know if you have my email. It's on there.
Okay.
There.
Okay.
You're gonna start blowing up. You're gonna start blowing up.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
All right,
I
y'all.
don't have any cards, but I'm trying to get on.
Yeah, I got your info.
Well, good luck to you.
And Miss Ross, you are welcome. The first thing we did when we got here, we moved so we could save some money. We were right across from the city county building. Just put that sticker on the door. Everyone is welcome here. Now there is one guy who he lied to me one too many times, and he is not. But beyond that,
Who is that?
Mark Smith,
Who is he?
the old grizzled guy with the big beard, and
That's the only person you pissed off?
no, who I've disinvited from being here. We may work something out, but it is real and true. All right.
See y'all.
Yeah, thanks again.
All right. See you guys.
Bye.
Okay.